Anupam, I think we can start now.
So, good morning, one and all, and I welcome everyone to the 146th webinar of the Saturday webinar series. I am Anupam Anand, Fellow at Manage Hyderabad. The Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship, CIA, is a center of excellence in agribusiness incubation hosted at the National Institute of Agricultural Extension Management, Manage Hyderabad. It is one of the leading agribusiness incubators in India. Manage CIA has mentored 550 entrepreneurs and incubated more than 383 startups from various focus areas of the agri and allied sectors. Having trained startups in agro-processing, post-harvest technologies, value addition, farm mechanization, animal husbandry, fisheries, dairy, commodity trading, supply chain management, and agri consultancy, the center has assisted and provided relentless support to agripreneurs, helping them fine-tune their ideas and upscale their operation. So the topic for today's session is Agri-Startups using big data analytics. So with data analytics offering actionable insights and decision support tools, the Agri-Startups are empowering farmers to make data-driven decisions and enhance their productivity and profitability. So to deal with this topic, we have two speakers joining us today, which is the first one is Dr. Satkumar Tomar sir and Mr. Mahesh Laparia sir. Speaker one, give a brief introduction for the first speaker of the session, Dr. Sat Kumar Tomar sir. He's the founder and CEO at Satyukt Analytics Private Limited. Being from a farming background, Dr. Sat Kumar was aware of the lack of quality real-time data to make fruitful decisions in the agriculture sector. Despite the increase in technology, even in rural areas, farmers, especially small and marginal farmers, do not have access to the required information. This reason drove him to his research at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, on satellite remote sensing, coupled with field experiments to develop real-time accurate information at farm scale. During the research, he was involved in setting up the AMBHAS, Ambas Experimental Watershed, to study the farms by using data from various space agencies. After completing his postdoc from CESBio, Toulouse, France, he was keen to do something for the agriculture sector. Initially, he was looking for academic positions. However, with the encouragement of friends and family, he decided to venture into startups and use his expertise in solving practical issues of the farmers and other agriculture stakeholders. He founded Satyukt along with Dr. Yukti with a mission to bring the latest technology to the farmers to enhance their income. With this brief introduction, I would like to hand over the session to Sir. Sir, over to you.
So you need to unmute yourself. You are on mute, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, otherwise, disturbance, we try to keep unmute, then when we speak, we try to forget. So I don't understand, most of the people are from the agriculture background and many problem might be repeated. But just to put in the context, what we are trying to do. So I'll try to reiterate some of the problem we understand or we are focused on. So we know about half of India is, dependent on agriculture. And we are talking about 14 crore of farmers. Some are landless and some have, land also. But many farmers are small and marginal. So more than 80% hold less than 2 hectares of land. The challenge is whatever technology we see in the Western world, tractor mounted, big machineries, etc. They are not applicable for these kind of farmers, because the affordability and many issues are there. The land sizing is small. So many machineries cannot be used. So like, the Anupam mentioned, if you want to manage something, we need to measure it. Then only, we can properly manage. As a human also, when we go to the doctor, they will first do some blood tests, take some other tests, lab report will come. Then they diagnose the issue and then they start the medicine. So the same thing we need to adopt for the plant. Typically, what I have seen, a farmer will go to a retailer and tell, my crop is not doing well, it's looking yellowish, or maybe the leaves are dying. And based on the expense, retailer will prescribe some solution. Many times it may happen the solution is coming based on the margin, not based on the technical requirement or what the feeling is. So this is the one case for pest and disease. Similarly, we have issue for water, for the nutrient. So in nutrient, we have seen farmer, because the urea is subsidized, tend to use much more urea than the required amount. In my experience, I have seen about 2 times the urea is used than what is actually required. So, and other things like, DAP and the other things are not used. There are issues of sometimes pH value is not balanced. And we have seen the soil organic carbon is reducing over time. So if we want to reduce such kind of problem, we want to optimize the input usage like fertilizer. First thing is we need to measure it properly. We need to do soil testing. There are program by Government of India soil health card, but still we need to have infrastructure on the ground. We need to have the lab. It can be IoT lab or the traditional labs. And we are talking about the entire India. Agriculture is not just in one part of India. And to spread the lab in the ground, it's not easy task. It takes a lot of effort. So government is trying, but still we see there are very, very few lab. Hardly, I think even 1% of the farmer are not doing the soil testing. Even then, even if we send 10 sample, it takes a lot of time to get the report back because of the lack of infrastructure. So what we are trying to do to utilize the big data analytics. So when we talk about the lack of measurement, one good thing is we hear a lot about ISRO, about NASA, about European Space Agency and other agencies from Japan, etc. So all the satellites rotating around the Earth, they capture information and they not capture only in the visible band, like a image we get from the mobile camera. They capture in several band, like in microwave band, in the thermal band, in other infrared bands, which provides valuable information about various variable on the ground. So we use some of these wavelengths or the bands to estimate or to do the soil testing. So we are estimating NPK, soil organic carbon and pH value across the globe. So what happens with our application? We have its mobile-based application. Of course, in the background, a lot of R&D algorithm and satellite data works and all the software engineering works in the background. But in the front end, it's very easy. A farmer just need to walk around their farm and they immediately get the soil testing report, how much nutrient they have. And it's not only one uniform value across the farm. Because when you have a large means, let's say about 1 acre farm, 1 hectare farm, in the different part of the farm, the variability might be there. Some part may have more nitrogen, some part may have less nitrogen, similarly pH issues may varies. So all these things we can provide the customized solutions even within a farm also. If you want to capture, I'm not sharing any PPT. I ask in the beginning, unless we find PPT, I'm comfortable in, talking. If somebody needs some solution, I can share, for the answering the question if somebody needs PPT. But we have a lot of material in YouTube on our websites. People can go through it and they can approach me later also. I'll be happy to answer to those questions. So even within a farm, we can tell how the distribution of, let's say, nitrogen looks like. So farmer can optimize depending upon part of the farm. Similarly, you look at, let's say, the water issues. Agriculture uses more than 80% of the water in India. And globally also, it's nearly the same number. And agriculture water efficiency, crop water efficiency, irrigation water efficiency is about 30%. So it means if we need 3 liters of water, we are spending 10 liters of water. So 70% of the water on an average is going as waste. These numbers are, efficiency is much lower when we talk about surface water project, and it's slightly higher when we have groundwater usage because we need to carry water to a relatively smaller distance. It may be slightly better when we use sprinkler, drip irrigation. But if you look at on an average in India, the numbers are, the efficiency are very, very low. You look at the crop water productivity, how much of water we consume to grow a unit amount of the crop. The numbers are, not good for India. So we need to put good amount of effort if we want to serve water to other users, like, for drinking purpose, for some other purpose. We need to use our resources very carefully. And in this case also, we need to first measure it if we want to use properly. There are, of course, traditional method like you can carry sample and then you use it, but they are not feasible on the ground. Then, of course, one can use IoT sensors, but they are very costly for large number of farmers in India. So we see very, very low adoption rate of such kind of technologies. And we look at very generic advisory, like I'm not from agriculture background. I have done farming myself till about 20 years back. But I studied agriculture as a subject till 8th class. So typical recommendations are you do 3 irrigation in this season or 4 irrigation in this season. In summer, you can do once in 15 days. But if you see, climate is not static. Like the kind of season we have, let's say on 20th July in this year, it may not be same in the next year or the previous year. So such kind of static recommendation you irrigate so many times in a year may not work, and it does not work usually. And since the climate is changing, it may not work, even whatever accuracy we used to get earlier. So we need to have some way where we can measure it and we can take into account all this climate weathers and then advise the farmer. So we are utilizing the weather forecast data the satellite-based evapotranspiration, crop health, age of the crop, all the things we require to tell the farmer how much they need to irrigate, and this we advise through the mobile app. The other major challenge is most of the people who come from technology background, they are reasonably capable in developing technological solutions, but for farmer it has to be in a very easy way which farmer can understand. Language is one major thing, but apart from the language also, the message you need to give, it has to be, you know, very simple where farmer can apprehend it and then apply it in their farm. So we use this data and then we provide farmer advice in a simple sense. In this season, based on this kind of crop and the soil and all this factor, you need to irrigate, let's say, once in 7 days or once in 10 days, and irrigation should be approximately for this much amount. And if somebody provides the yield of the well, we can tell in terms of the hours also. You need to keep your pump on for 3 hours or 4 hours. So such kind of simple things we are providing, utilizing the latest technology, then convert into valuable information, and then ultimately provide in a very easy way to the farmer. Then for the monitoring the crop health, we take satellite-based indices like NDVI coming from optical data. Then we utilize radar vegetation index, which provides information even when clouds are there, and through which farmer can monitor even if they are not visiting their farm every day, what is happening in different part of the farm and which part is healthy, which part is not healthy. So all this kind of information available through the simple mobile app. If farmers see some issues, they can upload an image, and through machine learning, we detect the issue and we advise the farmer what is the solution for it and which they can apply. Another advantage is many times we hear in India, when we hear the word technology, you know, we are importing from outside India to inside India. We talk about Israeli technology or some German technology. Rarely we see, you know, something we make in India, then we are exporting to outside. So we developing this many technologies. We are not working only with Indian farmer. We are exporting to many other countries. So we are working with about 10, 11 more countries outside India, and we are trying to work with many more. So these are the kind of things we can scale and we can deliver service outside India also. We are focusing much or, you know, much more on where we see farming conditions are similar to India, land holdings are small, so where it can be directly applicable for those kind of farmer first, then later we can move to other larger land holdings also. So these are the kind of things we are doing for farmer, but using this technology we work with other player also in agriculture ecosystem, like there are agriculture input company. They need to know where what kind of soils are there, what kind of nutrients some soil lacks, so they can optimize their supply chain. We work with agri output company to tell them what is the crop area, what is the current stage, sowing is started or harvesting is started, and by this they can, you know, optimize their procurement. Then we are working with the banks giving loan to the farmers. So what happens, we all are salaried person, we file ITR every year, we have CIBIL score. So if I go to a bank, they can immediately tell me how much loan they can give me, what will be the interest rate. All these things happen very quickly. But for a farmer, most of the transactions are informal. There are only very few crop where money comes directly into the bank. So we are trying to leverage the satellite remote sensing and estimate farm history of last 3 years, what kind of crops were there, what is the cropping intensity in that particular farm, whether the entire 100% land is used for agriculture or for something else, land is irrigated or not, what kind of crop yield we can expect in that kind of farm, what is the flood risk, what is the drought risk. Once a farmer has taken loan, whether they are doing the same kind of farming but they have, you know, asked the loan for. So all this kind of monitoring we are doing with satellite remote sensing, and we are working with many fintech companies to deliver the solutions to the bank. Then we utilize the same thing for the crop insurance companies also, because one challenge we see in India is the insurance is at the average area level. Like, you know, health insurance, it's individually for me, but insurance, crop insurance happens largely at the area level. In the best case, if data is there, it may be at the gram panchayat level. Typically, I have seen at tehsil level or taluka level or at the district level. So it does not happen in all the farmers in the same district or same taluka will suffer same kind of losses. There can be huge variability within that. Since we don't have the data, we are following the practice of area approach. I believe in the future, when we have data and which the data, the all the partner or the all the player in the all the stakeholder trust, then the crop insurance can also be taken to the farming level. Then it will benefit a lot of the, you know, farming community. They can get their payment in time. Sometimes we see there is a delay of couple of years also in releasing the payment of a claim for the crop insurance. And there are some calamities, let's say flood, where the flood comes within few days. If you don't go and do the field survey, it's not easy to find out the impacted area by the flood. Similarly, there are hailstorms, many other things are there. So with the help of satellite remote sensing, at the farmer level, we can figure out which are the farm impacted, which are the farm not impacted. And we are working with crop insurance company to deliver such kind of reports in India and outside India. Some of the things we are using for underwriting purpose also. So underwriting can also be done at much smaller scale than the district or much cost scale. So these are the kind of work we have been doing, and we are working with the government also to take some of the technologies to the farmer, to digitize the farmland in some selected geographies in India, and use for applications like in Karnataka we had cloud seeding program, I think about 4 years back. So in cloud seeding, when rainfall is low, you can inject some chemical in the cloud and it will create rainfall. But the major challenge is we have limited resources. At the time we had 2 aircraft and it cannot cover the entire Karnataka. So how do you optimize, where to do the cloud seeding? So we used to take the cloud coverage of the entire state and then look at the which part of Karnataka is having more severe drought. So you combine those information and then we make the priority. These are the areas we'll target first. These are the areas we'll target, second level. And that's how this program ran for about 100 days. And after this cloud seeding, we used to measure how much impact it has really created. Of course, the hope was very high that it can create a lot of rainfall. But when we do cloud seeding, it can provide only it can whatever crop is there, it can provide some support to it. But it's not like so much rainfall. You can start growing paddy, etc. So and we had only 2 aircraft. So some successful. It was quite successful program given that kind of constraint on resources we had. So such kind of things can be taken from the satellite remote sensing. Like say we talk about the drought relief plan. Typically, we take rainfall data to estimate the drought, but there are some areas having good irrigation schemes, some areas having good access to groundwater. Those are not impacted by the same amount of the rainfall deficit compared to your rain-fed farms. So all this mapping can be done at the farm scale to provide the relief to the impacted farmers. So these are various use case we are trying to work, and we are getting good success. Currently working with about 50,000 farmer in India and outside India and trying to reach many more. And we try to happy to partner with anybody who is doing something similar or doing complementary things and then working with the farmers. So this is in summary what we do. Maybe I'll be happy to have answer all the questions I think people are putting in the comments after my colleague has presented his work. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Satkumar. It's a really wonderful session, and the very right thing you pointed out that whatever the recommended doses or what is the availability of resources we have with the farmers, always we try to double it. So that type of awareness you are doing through the Satyug Analytics, your startup, it's a really wonderful job you are doing, not to save for the our available natural resources. I'll have a couple of questions already. Participants have put questions that we will take after the second speakers. If other participants have questions, they can put in the chat box or they may raise their hands to ask the questions that we will take up after the second session. So now I'm requesting to my colleague Anupam, kindly introduce our next speaker.
Thank you, Amit. So to introduce our second speaker for the second half of the webinar, we have with us Mr. Mahesh Taparia, sir. He's a data scientist with Corteva AgriScience. Mr. Mahesh Taparia is a highly skilled data scientist with over 5 years of professional experience in the field. He's currently working at Corteva Science, a leading agriculture sciences company. In his role as a data scientist, he applies his expertise to analyze and interpret complex agriculture data, contributing to the development of innovative solutions to enhance crop productivity and sustainability. Before joining Corteva AgriScience, Mahesh sir worked as software engineer at MathWorks for 2 years and 9 months. During his tenure as MathWorks, he gained valuable experience in software development and engineering principles. Mr. Taparia also holds a master's degree from the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. His academic background has provided him with a strong foundation in advanced concepts and methodologies related to data science and technology. With his extensive experience and diverse skill set, Mahesh sir has demonstrated a proven track record effectively utilizing data-driven insights to drive decision-making and contribute to the success of projects. He possesses a deep understanding of machine learning algorithms, statistical analysis, and programming languages commonly used in the field of data science. With this brief introduction, I'd like to hand over the session to you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Anand. Okay, let me share my screen first. So yeah, let me know when it is visible.
Now loading, sir.
Okay,
Yes. Need to come down to PowerPoint.
sure.
Please make it
Okay.
slideshow, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, today I'll be talk about my past work which I did in masters. So I worked on agriculture images mostly during my masters, and also in my current company, kind of similar work I've been doing. Due to some I cannot share the current work, so I decided to just go over the few problems which I worked during my masters. So I'll talk about two problem statements which are tagel detection using UAV images, and also the rice speculate counting, which is using like static images. These two problem statement were part of my master thesis. So yeah, going ahead, in general, we know that nowadays data is like everywhere in each and every field. People are using different census data, or so in agriculture also, like it is like transforming it in many different way. For example, the enhancing productivity, like we nowadays, as Sat also mentioned, that they are using different types of sensors, or usually which can be used to record the different physical traits, and based on that, we can control the inputs, agronomic inputs like seeds or fertilizers. So these kind of solutions can be provided using those sensor data. Also the yield prediction. So with advancement of different technologies like machine learning or using statistical modeling, we can use those sensor data to kind of predict the important traits, yield, or also development of genome trait. But that is usually the farmers or the breed scientists used to experiment with different traits, and then using the analysis of the output of those traits, they are kind of developing the new genome trait which can maximize the yield or output. So also apart from that, many other problems like disease detection, or the crop lodging, and many more, we can use we can find out using the data which can be collected by the different sensors. So these are just in general, also as I am going to present problems which you we which uses the data collected from the drone. So I just put one slide, like our drone is also an enhancing the solutions. So basically fasten the phenotypic process. Just it within a minutes it give the bird eye sight view of the whole field. And it is equipped with different sensors like RGB, multispectral or hyperspectral, LiDAR, many more. So these kind of sensors data can be used to study different phenotypic and genotypic traits of the crop, and again, which ultimately help in designing the crop in a better way, and also which can be used to optimize the pesticides or fertilizers. So these kind of data basically uses the advanced technology, or computer vision or deep learning or machine learning, so which can be provide the better understanding of the current soil profile or the health of the crop. So so yeah, these are the basic the right side image just show the basic flow of how drone image data work. So we have the image data, then just we first collect the data, and then remove the bed images, and then generating orthomosaic, and then create the plot-wise image, take out the plot-wise image, and then do the phenotypic analysis. This is in general how drone image analysis has done as pre. This is just the pre-processing step. So yeah, coming to like the problems which I worked on, which is like tail detection of the maize crop, and also the estimation of the growth stage. As we know that like crop growth stage is a important parameter which can like tell the farmer like what to do next, and how to control the different uh, like agronomic inputs. So also like the 50% heading stage or the testing stage is also a important parameter. So I am not from agriculture background, so just like going on the technical point of view. So we had collected the drone images with RGB and multispectral sensor from the maize crop, like from the PJTSU University, Hyderabad. So like there, the crops were grown in a very controlled fashion. So the we, collected data like so we have basically used this deep learning based object detection algorithm to detect the tassels of flowers. The faster arginine and yellow v2 were like two algorithms which can be used to detect the tassel, which we have worked on. And also we have used the multispectral images to that was like non-deep learning approach. The standard image processing based approach was also used. So coming to deep learning, I think so we have some there are like two phases, training and testing. So we train these model with around 250 images. We had around 250 images from the like field, and it was collected on a different days. So we have again like did some augmentation, and also the data set was increased. So like what we can observe in the results is like the YOLO V2 and faster RCNN, like these two algorithms were able to detect the flowers. And usually the 50% flowering is something like when 50% of the plant is having the flowers. So that is something we were need to predict, or so that's a different parameters. So what we observed that the faster RCN based method is having uh, good accuracy in compared to the YOLO V2. So that's like point 0.9 is F1 score. It's kind of accuracy metric. So yeah, so again, based on the number of flowers, like we need to like predict the like 50% days drizzling. One thing is like we did not have the like continuous data. That was like we used to take the twice a week or something like that during that. So you can observe that the predicted heading stage or the drizzling stage is not exact. It's just before or on 17th December or something like that. So what we can say is that the proposed algorithm was kind of nearly predicting the heading stage as well as the 50% dazzling stage, which you can see in the table. So yeah, since like faster RCNN was giving better detection accuracy, so we have used that method to predict the heading and 50% dazzling stage. So yeah, coming to the that is again part two of that problem. Like we had multispectral images, so we like multispectral data or the hyperspectral data kind of provide a good insight, which RGB images could not provide. So it has multiple bands. So we have used these images and like with non-DL based approach, standard image processing based approach helped to achieve the similar results which we were getting using RGB images plus deep learning approach. So in order to like do that, first calculated the OSAV, that is optimized soil adjusted vegetative index, which is like which helps to basically remove the like soil so background and foregrounds. So plant and tassels are getting separated using this particular index, and then just we use the basic Gaussian filter and then converted the grayscale, and even the normal also thresholding method helped us to segment the tassels with the leaves. So its fun score was around 0.87, which was like similar to YOLO V2 which we had. So the misclass. Okay, let me. So if you can see the result slide, the first one is like OSAV image, and then like segmented image and also filtered image. Then the normal like thresholding method is worked, and then connected component analysis is just used to detect the flowers. So the green boxes are like detected flowers. So in this particular approach, one like the some misclassification, minor misclassification were there, but mostly the overlapped flower. If you can see, like they are like detected as one single flower, one single tassel. So because of this, the number are not accurate. But again, like it achieved the similar accuracy which me to have given. So like this particular method is like non-DL based approach. So yeah, uh, coming to next slide, that is like another problem statement which I have studied. So that is counting of like filled and unfilled rice grain. So as we know that like there are grid scientists usually work with different rice variety and want to develop variety which give the optimum output. So we know that like rice spikelets sometimes become empty or half filled or full filled. So to optimize yield, we obviously want the spikelet to be fully filled. So to do that, usually the grid scientists like count like how many of the spikelets are filled or unfilled. So they like in general they might be using some manual counting, or there are some big machines which can do. So again in that, like they just separate the filled and unfilled grain, and then they pass it to the machine, and machine give the count. So this kind of solutions were there previously. So we were thought of use the image based technique. So to do that, we collected the static images in the lab. So uh, so earlier we tried with just RGB images, but only RGB image did not give the good results, because it was working that proposed algorithm worked on certain varieties of the rice crop but not on the all. So here what we did is like we used the thermal images apart from also the RGB images. So thermal image or the thermal data was like quite helpful to discriminate the filled and unfilled rice grain. So okay, let me. The first the right image, the trace grain is, this is like RGB image, and it is the segmented grains. If you can see the right image, first half. So we had the RGB image, then we have used this particular image to just count the number of grains which can be filled or unfilled or semi-filled. So that RGB image gave the total number of grain counting, and then we have used this thermal image. So what we have observed in the thermal image is like so usually first we take the grains and then heated up in the oven at 35 degrees Celsius in our lab. So we studied the rate of change of temperature or the rate of decrease of temperature in the filled and unfilled grains. So we have observed that the filled grain took slightly more time to become cool, and unfilled grain is like losing the temperature. Obviously, that is filled grain have the rice inside that, so it's slightly heavier than the unfilled grain, so it's quite natural that like if things are heavy, it takes slightly more time to lose the temperature in compared to the like unfilled grain. So if you can see the right bottom image, like we had this is just for reference purpose. I put this image that at t equals to 2, like these red colors or blue colors, these are just like temperature scale on the thermal camera. So if you can see at t equals to 8 or 10 seconds, the red dots are kind of removed. So what it pretend is like the temp few like at t equals to 2 second, the spikelets had some temperature, and again it is continuously losing and lost. But at the top there are few spikelets. They are kind of still in that particular range. The temperature is still high. So at after t equals to 10, like we were able to distinguish the filled and unfilled rice spikelets. So what we did is this, like we had RGB images, then that particular image gave us the total number of filled and unfilled rice spikelet, and then we took the thermal image and we extracted the frame after t equals to 10 seconds, and did some image processing to count the number of uh, you know spikelets which were filled. Like after 10 seconds we were able to get the filled spikelets. So we had total number of grain from RGB images, just subtracted these two to get the unfilled grains. So like this particular algorithms like you know quite like the accuracy was good. I mean, there are some minor errors. So what happens is sometimes the spikelets are half filled, but this particular method might be classifying as filled or unfilled. So, but half filled like grain, but we have taken that as the unfilled. If the grain is completely filled, then it is said to be filled. So the slight errors are there due to that. But apart from that, like this method was producing good results. So yeah, so this is I think the last slide. So yeah, that's what I have. So I'm happy to take any questions if I have. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mahesh. I think uh, we are going in a very deep of the data analytics, that capturing the images using the thermal technology, and a real-time example of rice crop we have learned from your this session. So we are coming to the our next session of this webinar, that is for the Q&A. So I'm requesting participants, if you have any questions, you can put in the chat box. We will take it one by one. And if you have any questions, you can raise the hand also. So we can see in the attendees, Mr. Manohar, someone is raised his hand. Srinu, could you unmute him so that can ask the question? Brina Milay Manohar. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, I missed your name. You can ask your question directly to the speaker.
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, yes. You can ask the question now.
Yes, sir. So,
I got
yeah,
your
so,
question. You can write to me. My email ID is there.
okay, sure,
We
sir.
can
I will.
discuss about that, sir.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Mrinali, we have already put the details of the speakers in the chat box, so you can contact directly Satkumar sir through that. So we can see there is one more participant. Devesh has raised his
Is there
hand.
any silence or
So
I am unable to hear anything?
Devesh, you can ask directly question to the speakers. Hello, Mr. Devesh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. You have question, you can ask directly to the speaker.
Okay, thank you, sir. Hello, sir.
Can you hear
My
me?
question.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
you're
hear you.
audible.
Okay, sir. So my question is, sir, despite all these technological advances and use of analytical uh, data and analytics and all other agriculture engineering inputs, why is our country still uh, not as much like if we see the global trends, our country is not leading in production. Like in most of the production, it's on the second number and the third number, like in rice production. So why is it that despite all these agriculture and data analytics input, we are still lacking?
See, there are many factors, you can have a maybe one session, many discussions around it. But simply like, land holdings are very small in India. So many technologies cannot be applied. This makes huge difference. Yesterday we were doing one experiment, you need to maintain space to space distance, seat to seat distance in both the sides. Manually it takes a lot of effort. It's not easy to do. With machine you can do it much, much more easily. So we can generate analytics, we can give advice. It can make some impact, but it cannot do everything. See, after advice, you need to have something, by which you can do take some action. So many things are not applicable because of small landholding in India. Other thing is when we talk about productivity, sometime, crop productivity. Let's say I was doing a postdoc in France. It takes about 6, 7 months, 8 months for the wheat to grow there. It takes 3.5 months here. So we are not talking about the based on the unit time because it's nearly two times there. So if I get two times yield there, then it's we are getting nearly same yield. How many crops we can do in per year? So all these factor we need to account and the purchasing power capacity of one person because farmers are small, they cannot spend too much, they cannot take a lot of risk. I'll give you one example of when we started a company. I started a bootstrapped company. Now we are funded. So in the beginning, we were tight on money. So I was not willing to take any extra risk. We very focused, do whatever we can do to run the office, etc. But when I have some money now, any decision I need to take, I ask one question is how much ROI get, how much investment I will get on the, how much return I will get on my investment. So this thinking is changing because I have some money in my pocket now. Earlier I didn't have, I was not looking into ROI part. I don't need this tool. Same thing for farmer. When the farmers are, just surviving hand to mouth or having just little surplus for education, children or maintaining house, etc. Those farmer cannot take risks. They cannot easily try new things. But they can try once others have tried, they can follow the same kind of practice. Like, the smartphone came. Everybody was not buying the smartphone at the same time. Even if somebody had the money. Some were maybe early adopters, some were, following, okay, there is some really use and then started using. Now it's difficult to survive without smartphone, at least in the urban areas. Your milk, your grocery, your car, etc. Whatever you want, it's coming through the mobile. I tried switching off my smartphone for some time. I had to install all the app in my laptop because difficult to survive without it. So same thing in the agriculture, slowly technology is penetrating and it will take some time to make the impact. But some impact is there. But to compete with the best countries, we'll have to look at the climatical conditions, which is not in our control. We'll have to look at many other factors are there. And when we see such kind of comparison, in one kind of yield, one country may be good, in some kind of some other country may be good. So even if we see we are at set number 5 in all the factors, it's not a bad thing. So if let's say you and I sit for some exam, it's possible in some exam, some subject you will score higher, in some I will score higher. Those kind of things are possible. So we play with our strength. So it's not so bad scenario also. We are doing, I think, reasonably good job in many things. In a startup, in agri-tech startup, I think we're putting a lot of effort. There are different kind of startups. I mean, advisory, analytics, in satellite, startups are going to launch a satellite in using the satellite data for small farmers, which typically does not happen in many countries. And all the other kind of technologies, biotechnologies, in the farming machineries, we see many small tractors coming, many small machineries, which are affordable for the farmers, some new renting models. So many things are happening and we are seeing good impact. Like I can see this is not relevant to agriculture, this UPI payment, this phone based payment. I think we are much much ahead compared to many developed countries. In the France, I have seen people still paying with the check to the grocery store. In India, I have not seen it. We are so common, even to a guy who is not maybe, can properly understand English or some other language, writing and reading I'm talking about. They are using the mobile phone to make the payment. So many good things are happening, but we need to put much more effort. And I think new people are putting effort. Yeah.
Yeah, Doctor, it's absolutely agreed with you. Technology is revolutionizing how you are taking up the advantage, and yes, few like startups actually joined us also, and they are trying to put these efforts to make it handy to the small farmers. So related to this previous discussion, there is one more question is asked by the Mr. Yes Vijay Kumar sir, that how this affordable to the small farmers and what should be the minimum land holding size should be we can focus to use this technology as you mentioned by your startups. So what the farmers basically are targeting.
We are fine with even half an acre of farm, and we charge 100 rupees per acre per month.
I think very small and very to the specific point. I hope Dr. S. Kumar sir, you got the answer. With this, we'll come to the next attendees. He's raised his hand. Aman from Gatishil is a startup. Aman, you can ask the question directly to the speaker.
So thank you for the great session. So my question is with respect to the satellite images. So uh, so how we can access the satellite images of the farm? That's the first part of the question. Second is there a standard work available on how to analyze these images?
See, there is no standard, that's why the entire data science come into picture. For what you want to do, etc., you need to customize, you need to collect the data. So these are not, very old established technology where you can follow step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you get the results. So many are much R&D we need to do. Many things are, subjective how to do it. But few things are established, which kind of indices we can use, which kind of bands are useful for what kind of purpose. But you need to study about the, you can say not only that, there is one more relevant question. Somebody asked, I'll try to combine both. What all we need to study if we want to become a data scientist? So first thing is the domain knowledge is very important. So two things are there for domain knowledge. One thing is the understanding of the images itself, which band can do what, or satellite remote sensing or remote sensing. This is quite important. And the application side, the agriculture. So somebody should have a feeling of agriculture also, and this you can say imaging science or whatever you want, or imaging technology. Both the things are required. Then you need to know the applied mathematics like linear algebra and the statistics. Nowadays we see there are many tools in R and Python. You can apply as like we say garbage in, garbage out, but many times they not work directly. You need to understand what is happening behind those tools. Then only you can get something valuable out of it. So you need to understand applied mathematics, and then plus of course the computer science like R or Python, any programming language. So all these things are required to develop a solutions which can be for a good career also in this field, and to make something which can make impact for the farmer's life.
Mahesh, you want to add something into this? Like Sonali just asked this question, and that how they can look as a data analytics as a career as she's agri graduate. So, Satsar, I rightly mentioned that domain knowledge itself is important. But any courses, if you can recommend to these agri graduate students also join for this program. So, if you can give some idea to them.
Like yeah, as Sat already mentioned, like the regarding on the top of that, I just want to add like the basic courses just to start in the career of data science is like linear algebra, the machine learning, and if you are keen to work in the images, so the computer vision or the image processing, deep learning. So like these are the courses. They are like easily available on YouTube as well. So, yeah. So only thing is like things are happening. So how it is happening, the background understanding of mathematics is I feel more important. So that's what. Yeah. Every
Yeah.
day we see new papers like came up, and they people are using different technologies or even come up with new different approach. So I feel at the background, math is something which is there. So we need to understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, very important. I think Aman and Sonali you got this point. As rightly Mahesh and Satkumar sir said, you must have the domain knowledge. And of course, if you don't have expertise, you have a lot of opportunities to explore through YouTube, or maybe can have the team members, those who have the domain knowledge. So through that team can build up the solution that what you are looking for. We'll quickly go to the one more question is asked there by the attendees. Nishant, I can see he has raised his hand. Nishant, you can ask directly question to the speakers. Nishant, smart you, can you
Yes,
you can
yes,
ask the questions. You can.
yes.
Yeah.
I want to share a real-time problem in farming, in particular in the Vidarbha area of Maharashtra. Actually, we have a cash crop of orange here, and from last 5 years there is a decline in orange orchids due to biotic and abiotic problems like hormonal changes in orange plants. So there is late blooming, or there is no blooming in orange farm. So which pose a great threat to the orange farming. So my question is to both of speakers, that is there any solution, or is there any remedy to trace the hormonal changes in fruit crops?
See, we have not worked, frankly, on this domain. Maybe if you want, you can reach out to me. We can discuss if something can be done. But so far, at least we have not worked on this.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, same thing I do feel, but that is like how it is changing the physical trait of the crop, or like the internal composition, or the like genome architecture. So ultimately, we need to analyze with some sort of data, or what changes actually at the plant level we have seen in that. So maybe after that, like coming after knowing that, only we can see what can be applied or not, or yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
I hope you got the answer,
Yes.
Nishant. So we'll quickly move to the one of the question is asked in the chat box by Mr. Anand. Sir, he is a startup, and he has a startup created 300% to 500% ROI. Still, the investors are not investing in his business. We are working with the farmers and earning profits, but we are not able to bring the investment. So how we can develop solutions for the India farmers? So I think Anand, if you are there, could you give some little bit idea about your startup, what activities are doing, so that will give
Yes,
more
yes. Same question, yeah.
more things.
What are you
Anand, if you
exactly
can hear
doing?
me. Yes, I have to search him in the attendees. Just give me a second. Attendees. Anand. Second, I'm not able to see him. Yeah, Anand Saini is there. Others research. Yeah. Anand, can you hear me? Hello, Anand. Anand, can you hear me? Anand, are you there? No issue, sir. Let us take it as a very generic question, that a startup who is already earning some business out of it, but still sometimes they are approaching to the investors. They are not ready. Already the farmers' traction is there, revenue is there. So what will be your advice to get the funding from the investors? This is the very something different questions coming from the today's session. But as your startup already raised some kind of funds, so you can advise something to these budding startups.
See, I think, when we talk about fund, there are different kind of things. Like how we started was before reaching VC, etc. See, nobody is here to do charity when we talk about funding. Everybody is looking how they can grow their money. And there are different kind of funding options, different kind of expectation. We need to understand that. So it's very detailed topic again. I'll not go into this. But what suggestion I can give you, before we approached VC for funding, we applied for many grants are there. Like, MoA is also, MoA is some kind of grants, like, AIDA platform is there. And then we have many coming in agriculture, in some biotech, in some other domains are there. Those are relatively easier to get, relatively easier. What I have seen briefly is what they look for. Your technology should be at innovative, and you should have some business idea. If you are reasonable in both the segments, then you can, approach those, and there are good chances you can get. You may fail, you will apply at 10 places, maybe you get one is good enough to start with. So you need to show the scale, then you can approach VC. See, VC are not looking only for, let's say, if I start a retail store, I can generate some profit. But scaling retail store is not an easy job. So VC typically look for technology which can be easily scaled. Like what we do once, adoption is there, other things are there, those are tested out over the time. Then we are reaching outside India also, etc. in little amount of funding. But if you want to scale the agriculture retail, let's say, or any retail, we need to invest again so much and so much of money, many challenges will there, etc. It's not easy to adopt business into something else. So we need to understand VC's point of view, why they invest money, what is that they look for. It's good to talk to some consultant, who can advise you more and they can tell you how you can get funded if you are doing something. I don't know if you are there or not. If you are there, you can reach out to me. I can connect you with somebody. Then it's up to you if you want to work with them.
Yes, Anand, in addition to that, I think already Attend is also sharing few grants are there for the startups. Even Manage having the incubation center from the RKVY-RAFTAAR, we are supporting to budding startups up to 5 lakh to 25 lakh rupees. So you can always look about the such grants are available from the ministry also. And after that, some traction, mentoring, and some good investment content, you can go for the raising the funds. So I hope that will helps you. So I think we are coming to the end of the session, but before that, we'll take quickly one more question from the Kiran Patil. He raised his hand. Kiran, can you hear me?
Sir, are you the services that you are providing? Are they all India level, or is it limited to some area as of now, or what is the geographical span of your services?
Across India.
Across India. Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah, so I hope Kiran, you got the answer. They are serving across the India. Yeah, I think Anand, yeah, he's ready to connect with you, sir. I think he messaged. I hope all you have got the good insights from that. And before ending to this webinar, I would like to make one announcement that for the agri-food startups, Manage has collaborated with iVenture and with the Deshpande Startup Foundation to raise the acceleration fund. So where also you will have the opportunity, if your startup is in the food domain or in the post-harvest domain, you have opportunity to raise the funds. So that details you can check out on our social media handles. All the application details and the form links are there. But the closing date is very near, just in the next week, 30th of July is the last date. You can apply there. And if you want the speaker details also, that way I already put it in our chat box. And the YouTube link, if you miss the some part of the session, that is also available. We are sharing in the social media also, so that you can look it into afterwards. So thank you once again for joining us here. And I'm requesting to the participants, kindly give us the feedback of the today's session. Also, if you want to listen new topics in upcoming webinars, we will be happy to take the suggestions from you all. With this, I would like to say thank you again, once again, to the speakers that they taken up the time from their busy schedule, and they have give the very good insights to these budding startups and the agripreneurs. I must say thank you to you on behalf of Manage and Manage CI team and all the attendees.
Thank you,
Thank you
Kiran.
so. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you all. We can see you in my next webinar. Thanks.